What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade, basketball analysis coming to y'all with some draft coverage as we getting closer and closer to the NBA draft. The Knicks are a team that has been one of the hottest topics for the last couple of years as they continue to try to find a franchise player or some type of star to get the city back going, to get the excitement back in New York as Brooklyn got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Then you have teams like the Clippers getting Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, the Lakers getting obviously LeBron and AD, Celtics, another prime franchise having Tatum and Brown. And you look at this Knicks team, they have no star, they have no superstars, but they do have an abundance of young players with upside and potential. And one of the biggest things that matters right now is who they should select with their pick. Now, I've been saying in my mock drafts that they should probably go with Devin Vassell just because he is a guy that can give them shooting and spacing, something that they thought Kevin Knox will be able to give them, but he has not been able to shoot nowhere near as good as you would want him to. And even though he has become a three-point shooter to a certain extent, his mid-range, his finishing, his handles are just so raw and so behind that he has really struggled to score the ball in general. But you also have that problem with Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. has struggled to be able to create and score at the NBA level, even though he's an exciting and explosive player. He just hasn't been able to figure that part out at the NBA level. Frank Ntilikina is another guy that hasn't been able to put the ball in the basket. RJ Barrett was a pick that a lot of people felt that was a sure thing at number three. He has struggled to put the ball in the basket, especially from the perimeter. And you can say that about all the guys I just named. And then you just keep going. And you look at the young talent that they have on the roster, which they do have a lot. But a lot of these guys just can't score the basketball or even shoot in general. Even if you add Mitchell Robinson, he's exciting, but he's not a spacing guy. He's a guy that has to be around the paint. Even though they did add guys like Reggie and Wayne Ellington, they still struggled to have spacing and scoring. Julius Randle was able to do everything they wanted him to do, and he did not play much defense. He did not score the ball that well when it comes to being dominant. He put up numbers, but they was empty as the Knicks was one of the worst teams in the NBA on both ends of the court. And now you just look at this team and say, what direction should they go in? I heard rumors that they like Obi Toppin, a guy that can really score the basketball, a guy that is NBA ready, in my personal opinion. He can definitely be a double digit scorer and a 7, 8, 9 rebounder in the league, especially when you look at the fact that the Knicks doesn't really have that much to begin with. And some of these guys are on 1 year deals, so they will be gone, or they can, retool this roster a little bit to fit different personnels and different styles. As they do have a new coach, also that's going to have a different game plan, a different system than the coach that they had before, and they also have new ownership, not ownership, but a new front office, and they're trying to make their mark and try to mold and craft this team into what they think it should be and how it should be. Now, I have been a guy that has to be honest. If I'm a team, a lot of the young players they have on this roster, I wouldn't be interested in as they have gotten a lot of minutes or a lot of opportunities, and they haven't shown little to at all that much improvement or development. Now, this is going to be a huge year for that because if they're bad again, they're going to get another lottery pick. But this draft really doesn't help much unless they trade up and try to get a LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards, which I think that they probably should, just because they need more of a guy that can be a superstar. And I don't see that with Obi. I feel like Obi can be a productive player. I feel like Obi can be a guy that can put the ball in the basket and do other things that can help this team out. But I don't look at him as a franchise cornerstone or a guy that you want to build your franchise around at this point in time in his career and probably even in the future. And you can say that about every guy they done drafted the last couple of years besides Kristaps Porzingis, who did become an all-star with the Knicks, but he could not stay healthy and he was not happy and he wanted out. And now he looks amazing because he's putting up numbers in Dallas, and they actually can make a move and be a title contender, which is unfortunate for the Knicks, who would prefer probably to have him back, even with the injuries, because at least they had somebody that was attractive. At least they had somebody that people knew can play and respect in the league. And now they don't really have that at all on this roster, which is unfortunate. But trading up in the draft is probably the best thing. Like, I'd rather trade up in the draft than draft Obi Toppin, just because if you're going to go for a guy with upside, you're better off going for a guy earlier in the draft. Now, that will be my decision. I feel like the Knicks do have enough pieces to where they can get a unhappy star. The problem will be, will they want to stay? They can offer them the money. They can get a guy to come in, but will they be winning? Will they be happy in New York if they can't figure out how to construct and build a roster around the particular player that they want? I think that's the hardest part, is trying to get the star and trying to keep the star happy. We have seen so many franchises do that year after year, and then they get traded to another team with another player, and then they instantly become a contender with that team. And it is some stars right now that's available, and it is some guys that are unhappy that's available. But the Knicks need to really be smart about who they choose to get and who they choose to go for. Even though I do think they should try to cash in some of these young players, because I just don't see them develop into anything significant the way they have played the last 1 to 2 years. But you rather cash that in now and try to build around that player within the next 1 to 2 years, that who you get, and try to add more pieces that way. Now, I always say you don't want to rush into a mediocrity in the no man's land, because if you try to get too many stars that don't really change the trajectory of this team to become basically a championship team, it really serves no purpose. And with this team lacking floor spacing and shooting, it can be really tough for stars to really have an impact on this team and impact winning when they don't really have the personnel around them. Plus, they don't really have enough around them in general to influence winning with this organization. So the Knicks are in a tough situation. They didn't get a number one pick. They didn't get a top three pick. And the pick that they will get will most likely be a role player or a star at best. And you can say that about Vassell. You can say that about Obi. You can say that about anybody that they pick, that they're not possibly going to be a superstar, which is unfortunate because that's what the Knicks are looking for and that's what they need. But they have to figure out what direction they're going to go in. They went with a coach that's very strict, that's very demanding, and really, want the best for his players, and really, has the feistiness to get it out of them. But you also need talent to win in this league, and that's what the Knicks just lack. They had one of the worst rosters in the NBA, and they had one of the worst situations in the NBA. And by them not really having a direction or identity right now, makes it one of the worst, teams in the NBA. If I had to be honest, and it's gonna be ugly for the Knicks fans, because they're going to have to make some moves that's going to be risky. They're going to have to take some gambles on some players just to have, a brighter future. And that could be either good or bad, but you don't really know until you get that player in and see what they can do for this organization. And, they have the cap space, they have the talent when it comes to potential guys that can be interesting. And they also do have a lottery pick in this draft and a couple more in the future that could be valuable, just because the Knicks are not on a path to be good right now, which means they picks hold a lot more value, just because they could be high draft picks, which they could cash in, like I said, for a star. But you still will have to get another star. You still will have to have a decent roster that can really compete with those stars, and that's just something that they have struggled with getting. Even though you look at it that they have one of the biggest, if not the biggest city and state, they still have struggled to keep and get stars, even though they are in New York, which sounds crazy, but is actually reality. So when you look at the Knicks, they're in a tough situation. And if you're a Knicks fan, it looks like grass still won't be greener for a while. But they're getting in a situation where fans are getting impatient. The talent don't really speak to us. And with them not being able to land a top five, top three, top number one pick, they're in a situation where they might not be getting a star or a superstar until 1 or 2 years from now. Now, it's better late than never, but also just because you get 2 stars don't mean you're going to win a title. Look how many duos that we have in the NBA, and none of them have even came to the Western, Eastern, or NBA Finals. And that's how hard it is to win in this league, and that's how hard it is to win the title. And now we're going to see what the Knicks can do. And I'm not saying anything crazy because the Knicks haven't won the title in how long? So that just proves the point that it's not easy to get that done. Be patient. It's easy to say that as a Celtics fan, but it's hard to say that for the Knicks. But that's what you guys got to do. Keep your head up and just hope things get better, because it might get ugly the next couple years if they can't get a star. And even if they do, how far can they, take that star? Can they get to that title level? Um, and another thing that's unfortunate is not any stars demanding or even entertaining going to the Knicks. And that's just realistic right now. So the best way to get it is through the draft or through trade. And even then, you still got to build a competitive roster with that star to win the title. So we'll see what they do. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description, comment section below. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for everybody that liked on Facebook. Also, check out my older videos on my channel. I have over 1,000, almost 2,000 videos on my channel, and I upload every single day. So if you like topics like breakdowns of players, legends, rookies, and even summer league and draft coverage, as you see in this video, discussions, top 10 lists, free agency, trade deadline, playoff predictions, season previews, this is the channel for you. And if you enjoy those type of videos, subscribe. Also, liking and sharing is a good way to help this channel continue to grow. And I appreciate the people that continue to do that, and the people that, will decide to do it. Not only that, if you want to support the channel further, you can buy merchandise on my spread shirt. Not only that, you can buy merchandise also on my Facebook page, and you can change the color of the shirt, change the color of the logo to whatever you want it to be. You can also buy hats on my Facebook page too. Message me and I can get you whatever you want and get it shipped out to you. Other than that, hope you guys enjoying y'all day. I'll be back to y'all with another video on Wednesday. And thanks for the love. Thanks for watching. And I'm out.